All right, guys, here we go. In this video, I'm just going to talk about a principle here. We're not going to talk as much about numbers as we are about a principle, which is lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. And I just want to illustrate the dangers of lifestyle inflation and why it's so critical to make sure that it's intentional and not just a default thing where it happens. So what is lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation? Well, as we earn more income, we spend more money, right? So maybe you have your first job out of college or something like that. You're earning not very much, so you're not spending very much, right? Because you don't have a high income. Okay, but let's say you get a raise. All of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, now I can go out and get that new car. I can afford that car payment now. Or I'm going to start eating out a little bit more because I'm getting all this cash in because of my raise. So I can eat out more and things like that. So as our income raises, so does our propensity to spend. That's normal. And it's typically a default setting, okay? If we don't think through this and plan ahead, that's what's gonna happen. But look at this. So let's say this is our monthly income. So we're earning this much right now. Let's say we get a raise. Don't change any of the other spending, but we get a raise and all of a sudden we're earning $8,000. If we don't change our expenses, then all of a sudden our future ratio or the money that we have to put towards wealth building is 32%. It jumped up quite a bit. It was 19 before, and now it's 36%, or whatever the number was. Maybe I typed in a wrong number. But the higher the income, if we don't change the expenses, then the more you can put away for your future wealth. Now, when you get a raise, maybe you don't want all of it to go there. You do want to spend a little bit of extra money, and that's totally okay. But there's danger in spending all of your raise or all of your promotion money in your normal expenses. So if we have it before where we had 19% was our future ratio, that's pretty healthy. That's good. So we increase this by $1,800. But let's say that all of a sudden we start spending $1,800 more here on whatever. Well, all of a sudden we're earning more. We feel better about things. We start spending more. Maybe we just don't keep track as well, or we start eating out a lot more, or we start springing for fancier items or whatever. We just shop on Amazon without giving it a second thought. And all of a sudden, our future ratio is 15%, which means that overall we're earning more money, but we're saving a lower percentage of our income. Let's see what happens if this goes up to $10,000. So another $1,500 raise. And we're just going to put that in here and say we spent it somewhere. All of a sudden, our future ratio is 13%. Okay. So as you earn more money, if you just keep spending more money along with it and you keep pace with your income, then you're not going to make very much progress at all. And this is almost the number one problem that people get into. Hey, I'm making more so I can spend more. You have to be disciplined about this piece. Okay. You have to be very, very intentional about it. This is dangerous. Okay. This is why it's dangerous. Not only are you not saving as much as you could, and accelerating your financial freedom goals, which is what we're all trying to do. Instead of that, it's like a double whammy, okay? So you're not only not adding to your wealth building goals, you're also hurting your future wealth building efforts by increasing the amount you need to live on. So if we look at this, all of a sudden our total living expenses are $8,000. That means that later on, when we want to hit financial freedom, all of a sudden we need to generate $8,000 a month just to take care of our regular spending, our survival and our thrival. $8,000 versus what it was before. Take those out. So what it was before, we only needed $4,700 a month. Once we hit financial freedom, we need $4,740 a month of income. That is very achievable. But if all of a sudden we are spending $3,300 more and we're $8,000 a month, then we have to have enough assets to generate $8,000 a month of cash flow just to meet our expenses. It almost doubled. Do you see how dangerous that is? So not only are we not building our wealth quick enough or as quickly, but we're also putting more strain on it by increasing the expense level in the future that we have to draw from. Because you're not going to go from spending $8,000 a month and to hit financial freedom, you're not all of a sudden going to chop that number in half back to 4,000. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to do it. You get used to living a certain way, and then you want to live that way. So what happens? Your financial freedom date gets pushed further down the road. So what do you do instead? Well, as your income increases, you take a portion and you make sure your ratios are still on point. So before we had 19%, so basically let's call it 20%. So if we want 20% there, and we're earning $10,000 a month now, then that means we can go ahead and spend, let's call it $2,600. Yeah, an extra $2,600. Okay, so we went from $6,700 a month to $10,000. So it's a raise of $3,300. We can spend $2,600 of that as long as we save the rest, which is the difference to get us to our future ratio of 20%. Okay, so about $700 is all. It's not a lot, but we have to peel off intentionally a portion of that and put it towards future wealth building. Well, what if you get the raise and you say, hey, you know what? I actually want to accelerate my pacing for financial freedom by keeping my expenses reasonable. I'm happy with how they are now, so I want to keep them the way they are. And I just want to take all that extra money and plow it into my future wealth building efforts. Then you go ahead, right? And all of a sudden your future ratio jumps up to 46%. Your expenses stay low, so it's easier to create $4,740 of monthly income. But all of a sudden your wealth building is supercharged and you're doing 2 times as much as you were before as a percentage. And you're just going to get there a lot quicker. So these are just some things to think about with lifestyle inflation and keeping it in check. It's okay to spend more money when you earn more money. I am not stingy. I am okay with spending money. You should spend money as long as it's on things that are important and that it's intentional and that you know what you're doing. Because once you start spending more money, you know it's probably not going to stop. And so either you have to continue to earn money and then intentionally save, or your financial freedom date is going to be pushed off for a while further. Okay, it's just going to be pushed down the road. If you're okay with that, then great. That's the trade-off you're making. I want to spend now more money, and it's okay if I don't hit financial freedom quite as soon. It's okay if I push that off by 10 years. Okay, that's the trade-off you're making. If you're okay with that trade-off, then all good, totally fine. But if you think about that and you're like, ooh, yeah, actually, I don't want to keep working for another 10 years. Let's trim that down. I'm okay spending a little bit less because I'd rather have freedom at that point, okay? So I'm not a super big proponent of FIRE. Maybe some of you have heard of it. It's an acronym, Financial Independence, Retire Early. Maybe some of you know about it, maybe some of you don't, but it's the idea that you are as frugal as possible. You keep your expenses low as possible, invest as much as possible so you can get to financial freedom as soon as possible. But the vast majority of the blogs that are out there or people that follow this, I just find, not everybody, okay, but the vast majority I feel have a scarcity mindset about this. And so they're cheap and they spend $0 and they're willing to sacrifice that for freedom just so they can escape the grind, the 9 to 5 and all that stuff. I don't really support that philosophy. I'm okay spending money now because it makes my life better. It improves my quality of life. I don't need to save every single dime that I get for some future that I think is going to be wonderful. If I can't enjoy my money in the present, there is no chance I'm going to enjoy my money in the future. So I have an abundance mindset. I spend, but I spend intentionally on the things that bring me joy and my family, on the things that are aligned with my values. And then the other stuff, I just don't spend money on. I don't care. So I put that into future wealth building and call it a day. Okay. So lifestyle inflation, be aware of it, be careful. You've seen it in your own life. I guarantee it, or in somebody that you know close to you, people you work with, things like that. So keep an eye on it. Don't let it sneak up on you because it will, and it can torpedo your plans if you're not careful. So that's all we got for this video. We'll see you on the next one.
Like, subscribe, and keep building real freedom.